Hey guys, Sneaky Snake here, Brothers in Arms, World of Warships, and today's video is going to be something a little different. I suppose you could say this is the start of a new video series where we just kind of discuss tactics, strategy, things that go on in World of Warships that you need to do, need to know, need to just think about to get better at the game. And I suppose we can title the first of this video series Thinking Ahead. Now, this is a replay that I had in my Turpets. I'm playing by myself and playing some domination on the map Hotspot. So, why is this replay important and what do you need to know about it? Well, thinking ahead in World of Warships is something that is really, really important. Let's take World of Tanks, for example. I play a decent bit of World of Tanks, played it quite a bit on the PC last year, and now I play it mostly on Xbox. And World of Tanks games generally are decided within the first 5 to 10 minutes. They're very fast-paced, within the first minute or two, you're already looking at a couple tanks on each team destroyed. Gameplay is very fast-paced. As I mentioned, it's just, you got to be thinking really quickly. You got to be thinking 30 seconds ahead, 15 seconds ahead. Take, for instance, the map Mines, where there's the big hill in the middle. I'm sure you guys know what I'm talking about. Do I take my medium tank up there, or do I take my medium tank over into the town? It's a simple decision, A or B, and that's really about it. And whatever choice you make, you have to deal with the consequences of your decision. Well, here in World of Warships, it's much different, because you're not trying to think one step ahead of your enemy. You're trying to think, 3, 4, maybe 5 steps ahead of your enemy. And what you're trying to do is put yourself in the most advantageous position with the ship that you're currently using, and put yourself in that position to be able to deal damage to the enemy team, to sink ships, to capture objectives. But you must think of these things very long term, because, the pace of the combat in World of Warships, while it's certainly good, is obviously less than a lot of FPSs and, as I mentioned, World of Tanks out there. So, critical thinking is something that is really, really important. And honestly, to me, for those of you out there that are wanting to get better and really devote time and effort to this game, the best way to get better at this game is to improve your thinking skills. So, we're going to pause the game right here and take a look at the minimap. Okay. I took a screenshot here of the minimap at 1744. Let's take a look at it really quickly. We have a friendly Farragut who's in Objective Alpha, and he's about done capping it. We have a friendly Amagi, a Scharnhorst, and a Turpets going down towards Objective Alpha, while another friendly Turpets and a friendly Hachiharu are going in towards Objective Bravo. So clearly, the bulk of our team is heading down towards those objectives. And not only that, but the majority of our heavy surface units that are top tier, specifically the 2 Turpetses and the Amagi, are heading down there as well. So I do feel pretty comfortable that they'll be able to handle it. Up here at Objective Charlie with myself, we have a friendly New Mexico lagging behind, and an Otago and a Benson out in front. Now, looking at the minimap for the enemy team, we see that there is an enemy Bliskovika that was spotted at Objective Charlie. There's an enemy Mayhan, and at the moment, it looks like that there's an enemy Amagi coming up here. There's an enemy Turpets that's turning in. There is 2 other Turpetses that one of them is moving away towards Objective Charlie, but I will spoil it. He comes up here as well. And there's also the 3rd enemy Turpets that is also going to come up towards Objective Charlie. So in a couple minutes, what you're basically going to see is there's 3 enemy Turpetses, an Amagi, and 2 destroyers, 6 enemy ships versus us 4 up here. So not only do they have the destroyer advantage, but they're also going to have the heavy surface unit advantage in battleships by a 2-to-1 margin. And not only that, but all of those ships are tier 8s. So clearly my work is cut out for me up here. So as I was sailing up here, right around this time, as I was looking at the minimap, I noticed this, and I thought to myself, okay, I gotta think a few minutes ahead here. I'm gonna try to go in and take Objective Charlie, assuming at this point that looking at the minimap, there was still the Turpets heading to the south in Objective Delta 4. There's, the other Turpets that could be turning in towards C, could be going towards B, indicated by the straight white line on your screen that I am currently aiming at. So at this point, I was still somewhat secure going towards Objective Charlie, but I already had a plan in mind. I was going to go north towards where the Benson and Otago are, and if I take fire, or it gets too heavy up here, I'm going to swing back around, and you can see the large island right there on the 8 and 9 line, right at about the Echo and the Foxtrot area. I was going to turn back around and get behind that island for cover. And this is something that I'd already thought of at this stage of the game. More on that in a little bit. So we're going to skip ahead a little bit here, and as you can see, I've moved up towards Objective Charlie. Now the Otago, on my starboard side, just gets taken out. The friendly New Mexico, also to my starboard side, is going to start getting shot at. all of the enemy Tirpitzes ended up coming up here, and as you can see, there's also the Amagi that is turned down here as well. The friendly Benson that is up here has taken quite a bit of damage, and he's over at the island and around Objective Bravo 7. So, at this point, my worst fears came true. Now, this friendly New Mexico is doing a wonderful job of being a horrendously nice distraction for me, at the expense of his life, of course. I'm already burning in 2 different places. I already used my damage control at one section. The enemy Mayhan and the enemy Bliskovika that were up here have also, again, stayed up here. And at this point, I'm doing exactly what I planned on doing a couple minutes ago. Unfortunately for me, the friendly New Mexico is about to die, and I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to get behind the island, by the time. So I'm booking it. I'm at full speed. The fires just got put out. I've only done 54,000 damage, and while I've done a decent bit up here and hurt quite a few of the enemy ships, specifically the Tirpitz that I'm looking at, I'm not going to last very much longer. Taking also more shots from an enemy Mogami that came up here too. So I did exactly what I planned on doing. I was going to hightail it out and get myself behind the big island along the 8-9 line, right around where Objective Echo and Foxtrot intersected at, and basically just try and re-engage these ships. If I would have stayed in Objective Charlie, and if I wouldn't have thought ahead and, you know, I just wanted to go balls to the walls in there and try and do as much damage as I could before I got taken out, well, I would have just wasted another ship. And, you know, you got to think about these things. The game score right now is only 338 to 384. It's still a relatively close game. There's still plenty of outcomes that can happen. So I wanted to make sure that I'd at least given myself a fighting chance to be able to help my team out later in the game. So I continued to sail around the island here, still taking more shots. I waited to use my repair until I was almost behind the island, making sure, and at least hoping anyway, that I wasn't going to take any more high explosive fire. And right as I'm about to get behind the island, I do take a couple more hits from the enemy Amagi, but I successfully do so. We're now going to take a look at the minimap as of 12:24 on the screen. As you can see, everybody else that went up here with me, short of the friendly Benson, has died. I have been able to make it behind the island here, and I have an enemy Tirpitz. There's an enemy Mayhan making his way towards me. There's also another enemy Tirpitz that's up there that's, at least at this point in the game, I was thinking, okay, I think he's going to try to be sneaking around here and try and flank me. So basically, as I continue to sail forward, that enemy Tirpitz was going to come and meet me, and then I'd have another ship behind me, and it was just going to be a very bad day. The enemy Amagi, Mogami, Bliskovika, there's also an enemy Colorado over there as well. Clearly, it was a very good idea that I got out of there. And in about the roughly 3 to 4 minutes worth of time that it took from the first screenshot that I showed you until this point in the game, I did my plan exactly as I figured it in my head. I was able to get behind the island, the expense of losing more than 3/4 of my hit points, but nonetheless, quite a bit of it was fire damage, so I can bide my time, and I can get behind this island here, get some health back, and then reassess the situation. I still have that friendly Benson up there to help me out and spot targets. At this point in the game, the friendly team has obviously captured Objective Alpha, and the Tirpitz, Scharnhorst, Amagi, the other Tirpitz, they're all pushing in towards Objective Bravo, or chasing other ships away from Objective Alpha. The friendly carrier is also providing close air support at Objective Bravo 2. And as I mentioned earlier, the scores are still relatively close, so I still have an impact that I can put on this game. So, as we continue to play the video, just listen to how I talk, listen to the thinking that's going involved here, and I really do feel that it will help your game out. So back to the gameplay. I just get behind the island. I'm still detected by an enemy aircraft, probably from that Tirpitz that's 8 kilometers away from me, and he probably has his fighter plane out, and yes he does, Messership ship BF-109 Gulf. At this point, the game is still pretty close, 365 to 399. We're still in it. Friendly Tirpitz is able to take out an enemy Tirpitz, and right as I say that, he gets destroyed from his torpedoes. So the scores are 351 to 385 at the moment. We have a bunch of friendly ships that are in Objective Bravo, and friendly close air support, is trying to take out the enemy Sims, but clearly there are still a lot of enemy ships up here, and they want to get my bacon. Now, fortunately for me, that enemy Tirpitz that's now 9 kilometers away and running away from me has made a terrible decision. He's allowing me, at this point, to gain my health back. He's allowing me to still be alive. He's allowing me to think about my next move. And that's a bad thing. So at this point, I was thinking to myself, okay, I'm going to get my health back, which I just did. I'm going to let that go through. You know, like I said, took a lot of fire damage. I want to get some health back. And now I'm going to start taking some pot shots at enemy ships that I have the opportunity to do so. I still have this massive island behind me that's more or less protecting me. And as I fired on the Colorado, I wasn't spotted. So I'm going to be able to do some cheap damage to this guy. Shell's fallen in. Only 1,100 damage with 1 overpen. Either way. they're allowing me, because I'm still alive, because I planned ahead to get to this moment, they're allowing me to still influence the battle, which is a very bad thing. So now I'm looking for my next shot on the enemy turrets. This was the guy that decided to not try and hunt me down and chase me. Now there's also another enemy turrets, as I notice him right here. He's 11.4 kilometers away and closing on my position. Shells falling on the enemy turrets straight in front of me, do about 4,000 damage. Okay, so now I see that this enemy turrets over here, Thorhill 913, is going to try and come into my position and get my booty. So instead of continuing out and taking more unnecessary damage, I decided to turn back in towards the island to reestablish my position. Now, I'm basically going to make a giant circle here, a 360, so to speak. But the reason why I'm doing this will become completely apparent here in the near future. Now, the friendly Benson has been sailing, whatever, towards me. And right around now, he's going to, ask me in the chat. He's just going to basically he's going to... Jeez, I'm mumbling here. Please pardon me for that. He's going to ask me what I'm going to do and what I want to do. Now, there's also, I forgot to mention, enemy carriers in the game. There's a Saipan. So I am completely spotted. See, sneaky, cat and mouse, the fuck out of them. Yeah, good stuff. Basically, now that enemy turrets is not spotted, I'm thinking to myself, okay, this guy needs to go out there and spot this ship. I need to know where this turrets is at. I get my health back. I'm getting some more nice stuff back. There's enemy bombers inbound on my position. However, there's nothing I can do about it. Let the AA do its work. Maybe I'll shoot down a plane or two. Saipan planes are tier 9, for those of you that don't know. So I'm just trying to bide my time. Because I'm behind the island and there's still going to be quite a bit of time before the enemy ships are able to shoot at me, as soon as I get put on fire, I decide to put it out. Now, you obviously know the golden rule: when you have one fire, let it burn. But I feel comfortable enough in this engagement up here with the enemy turrets to be able to go into it without having the repair ready. Now, the enemy turrets slows down for the torpedoes. Unfortunately, my friend in the Benson got spotted by the aircraft. But I'm able to get a cheap shot right here. Over the island, a couple shells do impact the island, but I get a nice 8,400 damage. His guns weren't pointed at me. He obviously was more worried about the torpedoes that were right there. And I was able to reestablish a good position on this guy. And by the time he shoots, his shells impact the front of my ship, and they ricochet off. I go into the smoke screen that he did leave for me. So, obviously that's nice. And now I'm looking for a torpedo attack. Now, I know that this enemy turrets is now turning in towards me, and he's probably, or at least I'm going to guess, trying to get his torpedoes out. So I'm going to keep turning to the right. I have the island in front of me so that he has to overturn to be able to launch his torpedoes at me. Now, I do take a couple shells right here from his forward guns that were reloaded, but it's a turrets. And by the time he's able to get his torpedoes off at me, I guessed right there, perfect execution. I guessed where he was going to be. And, I wouldn't even necessarily call it a guess. I knew that he was going to do that because a turret's at 2 kilometers, 3 kilometers away. You certainly want to get your torpedoes off. So I predicted where he was going to be, and I launched more torpedoes, and basically he sailed right into him. Now, he did light me on fire, however. I'm about to get my damage control party back yet again, so I only had to burn for a little bit. And again, it's fire damage, so, most of that crap is able to get brought back to you by your damage control. So basically right there, because the island is right there, I used the edge of the island to my advantage to force him to overturn into my torpedoes, and he wasn't even able to drop his as well. So it was a win-win right there for me, and I was able to take him out. So I've now destroyed an enemy ship here. My friendlies that have moved into Objective Bravo have destroyed most of the enemy ships that have went down in there, so good for me. Now, the enemy Colorado decided to keep sailing over this way as well, but now he has a friendly Amagi in front of him that he has to deal with, as well as the enemy Mayhan. Now, the big mistake that the enemy team did was they didn't send, at least the Bliskovica or the Mayhan, around the other side of the island to try and get me. Why those destroyers did not decide to press home their attack is beyond me, but it gave me a new lease on life. So now as I circle around for the third time on this island, using it to my advantage, being able to put my ship in the best position possible, I now shoot a salvo at the enemy Colorado. Unfortunately, the heat of the moment, I didn't wait to get a good shot, but that's okay. As you can see in the chat, this guy, I played with him in the last game, killed him, and in this game as well. You live against Snake. Yes, I do. And all of this was possible. All of this was possible because I made a plan at the beginning of the game to get back behind the island, cover my avenues of approach, and basically put myself in a position to live. And, a lot of people just oh, I'm in a battleship. I have a lot of hit points. I have a lot of good armor, especially turpage drivers. I don't need to worry about little things like that. You know, I got plenty of hit points. I'm good. You saw how quickly my hit points got eradicated as I was retreating away from Charlie, just taking fire damage and the occasional AP shell. And because those destroyers and because those enemy turpitses didn't decide to try and kill me, I was able to kill one turpitz with torpedoes, and I just take out the enemy Colorado with my main battery guns. And I went from 60,000 damage roughly, not having a very good game and having less than a quarter of my health, to taking out 2 of the enemy team's ships, 132,000 points of damage, shot down a few planes as well, and I have lived to see another day. And right here, at 5:18 left in the game, I actually ended up out of this engagement with 1,000 more hit points than I had going into it. The judicial use of my damage control, the judicial use of my repair party, shooting at the right ships at the right time, and now I'm looking for more shots on the enemy Mayhem. Again, another ship that could have taken me out, that could have, basically made it impossible for me to live there. I land one shell, swinging my rear guns into play on the destroyer, looking for the shot, get the rear turrets out, shells flying in on the target. Is this the kill shot? No, it's not. Oh well. But I was able to use the island. I was able to outthink the enemy team. And again, I was outthinking them by quite a few minutes because it took those turpitzes or the turpitz and the Colorado quite a bit of time to get to me. And I take out the enemy Mayhem as well. So 3 ships that if they all would have pushed me, 3 ships if they would have tried to kill me and ensure the kill, well, I killed them all. Because I used the island, and I used my wits, and I used my just superior knowledge and planning to be able to do this. And that's just the whole point of this video, guys. You saw how crappy of a situation that I was in. No help from teammates, no help from division mates for that matter. I only had the one Benson there to scout a little bit, and he tried to do what he could, but, his help was nice, but at the end of the day, it didn't really do too much. And I was able to walk out of there, destroying an enemy turpitz at my leisure, destroying a Colorado at my leisure, catching him completely off guard, and taking out the enemy Mayhem. And, to boot, I'm about ready to capture Objective Charlie. So, how about that? It's a 1v5, a 2v5, whatever it was, and all of a sudden I'm the only guy left standing here, and I'm about to capture Objective Charlie. So, that's it, guys. That's the whole point of this video. I'm gonna skip ahead now to the post-battle results as I capture Objective Charlie. Good XP and credits, num num. 641,000 credits received, 8,300 total XP. I did end up getting killed by the enemy Saipan. Those dive bombers just overwhelmed my AA defenses. Ended up with 134,000 solid points of damage, 75 target hits, 3 torpedo hits, 3 ships destroyed, 1 citadel, 2 base defense, 1 base fully captured. Good stuff. And looking at the team score, 2,465 base XP earned in the victory, tops on the team. A very good effort by the friendly Farragut as well. So, I ended up MVP. Number 1 on the team, number 1 in the game, and around 14 minutes left in the game, I was in a very, very bad position. But I used my knowledge of the game, I thought ahead, I made the enemy come to me, I was able to fight them 1 versus 1 in all circumstances, and I ended up taking care of business. So, I hope this video helps you out. I know the commentary was somewhat choppy. I wasn't really sure. This isn't just a normal watching the gameplay and commentating on it. So, I'm going to continue to improve my commentating on other types of videos. So, again, I apologize if it was somewhat hard to follow, but I hope you guys, at least got a good idea of what was going through my head at the moment and what I was thinking of. And if it helps you improve your game, then, at the end of the day, that's all that matters. So, with that being said, Sneaky Snake, once again for BIA World of Warships, keep the subscribes coming in, keep the likes and the comments on the videos. It's nice to see you guys banter back and forth and talk amongst yourselves and with others and with us. It's good stuff. So, yeah, take care, guys.